Hello, good evening and welcome to another review video, and we're going to do a updated review today on the SEBO Felix, which I bought about 4 years ago. In fact, it was probably maybe 3 years ago before the EU regulations came in. So this basically is the SEBO Felix Rosso, and it's still available now, just under the Eco guise, I do believe. So it would fit in with the European EU regulations for vacuum cleaner power. Now, I did a review of this on the channel quite a long time ago after I just bought it, so basically it was just like a first look. I've done a daily clean video with it, and I haven't actually done a formal review really of it, so to say what my opinions are after having had it for a few years now. It has had a little bit of use, but not an awful lot, because I have used the X series over this one. But I do feel like now is actually using this one more than the X series. But at the moment, with having the two new Dysons in the house, they are sort of taking a bit of priority over doing the cleaning at the moment, so the other ones are sort of taking a bit of a back seat really. So, I mean, this is available from, I think John Lewis might sell it. I got it from Freenet Electrical, who don't really sell that many vacuums anymore. It was a website called Freenet Electrical, and I paid £220, I think it was. It wasn't as much as what they are now. They're fairly more expensive now than what they were then. And this machine came with the upholstery brush. It came with the what do they call that? The crevice tool. What do they call that? Oh, I don't know what that is by now. No, I've got that many of them in the house. And it came with the SEBO turbo tool, which is for doing your sofas with and getting the pet hairs off. So really, it's sort of the same sort of specification as the Felix Pet. Because it comes with one of these. They are a little bit old-fashioned now, but they still do a very good job. We'll have a closer look at that when I bring the camera down shortly. The bags for these are the cloth type, if I show these on the camera. So it's the filter box Felix, basically, and it's the 7029ER bags, and they are ultra bags, which are the cloth type, and they're 3-layer microfilter fabric. So if I just pull them out of the bag here, we can see here these haven't been actually opened yet because there's still one in the machine. I've got a couple of boxes of these upstairs, so I've got plenty of bags to be going on with. But basically they're like a material bag. I'll show you the bag that's in the machine shortly, but what you would use basically is these, and these are available from SEBO's website if you were to buy the machine. Right, so that's the bags. So, I mean, this machine, what drew me to this one was that Roger did a demonstration of it on iBasiac, and this was quite some time ago, and I really liked the colour scheme of it, the red, with the red pattern bag on. Because obviously the other ones are like, I think there's a white one, there's like a black one, which is the Pet, and they come with a very good floor head on, called the ET1, which is able to be detached from the machine. So whilst the camera is actually up there, it's going to be probably easier for me to show how the machine detaches, and we'll bring it down just to have a look at the closer up features afterwards. So basically, if you wanted to use it, say, in handheld mode, you can do that, and it's able to be detached from the floor head by simply pressing that button. I believe you have to have your foot on the floor head, and you press the button at the bottom, and then this lifts off, just like so. And what SEBO say then is that you can remove the tool off the front, and incidentally it didn't come with the dusting brush. The dusting brush you have to buy extra. Now I've only got one of those because there's one on my SEBO X4, and the X4 came with one of these. But if you did want the dusting brush with the Felix, then you'd have to buy it from SEBO separately. And these are available on their website under the tools section. So if you wanted to use it, say, as a handheld, what you'd do is you'd have to push the handle down, so you'd pull this latch out at the front here, and then you'd be able to slot your handle right down. and then you'd be able to carry it around like so. Okay? So what they're saying is basically if you wanted to do up the stairs with it, you'd have to carry it like this. So you can unclip your hose off the end, like so, and then carry it round and do your above floor cleaning. And obviously you're not going to have the cable on either, so that would be sort of off and out of the way, like so. And it's got a good cable on, it's got about a 10-metre cable. So essentially then you carry it around like this. I mean, it's reasonably lightweight, but I wouldn't say it was... It's probably about 4 kilos, that is, without the floor head on, because the floor head does weigh a fair bit. That's got all the motor and everything in, but this is a dual motor machine. So it's able to have the floor head operating separately to this. So that would be, let's say you wanted to do your stairs, you basically put your turbo tool on the end, like so, and then you'd be able to walk up the stairs with it and do them like so. Or walk around and do your sofa with it. I mean, you can use it in vertical mode with the tools on, except you just have to be careful it doesn't topple over, because they are rather unstable, these are, when you're using the hose from the top. So if I click it back on, onto the base, move that out of the way, like so. I mean, you can use them, you can use your tools with it, but if you pull it too much it will fall over, like so. So that's one thing you really have to be careful of with the X series and the Felix. Once again, you know, if you're doing the chair and you just pull it too much, it's going to fall over. So when using the tools, you would have to really have your hand on it like so, and be using it close to where you're working, because that's the main downfall with both the X series and the Felix. Now, what you could also do to avoid having to take it up the stairs is that SEBO do sell, if I get it out here, they do sell an extension hose, which is basically one of these. Now this comes as standard with the X4 Extra, this hose does, okay? So, if you wanted to go up the stairs, you'd use the hose, you'd fix it onto the end of here, and then you'd have a really, really long, I mean, I can stretch that really from there right over to the end of the window here, so it's a very, very, very long hose with the extension on. But what you'd also have to do is either lie that flat at the bottom or have it right up against the bottom stair, and try not to put pressure on it because it will tip over. So you've got to be really aware of that. So that would be the extension, and as I say, it doesn't come with this as standard. You'd have to buy these separately as extra tools. So that's the extension hose. What else can I say about it from being in this position? So the hose would clip back down into the side of here. What it also has in the hose port, where the hose goes in, is like a little micro switch down in here that if you're vacuuming along, like so, and you're pushing it along and vacuuming along merrily with it, and then you suddenly decide you want to pull the hose out, and you've got it in that position, when you pull the hose out, it stops the floor head. So basically it stops the brush roll turning when you detach this, and you can't use the floor head without this thing being pushed in down the bottom here, because there is a little switch that stops it. Right, so what we'll do is I'll bring the camera down now, and we will have a closer look at the machine. So on the top here we've got this is a variable speed switch. So you'll switch the machine on with one click onto here, and that would be in the minimum speed, and as you press that slider down it speeds the speed of the motor up, so effectively it increases the suction. So if you're doing delicate items with the hose, you'd be able to turn the suction right down. I think that's rather useful. Or if you wanted to do maybe a delicate floor and you didn't want full suction, you'd be able to turn it down here. On the back is where your cable comes in, which is really good, right at the top of the handle. And as I said earlier, it's a 10-metre cable. Let me see now. The hose on here isn't, as I say, the longest hose in the world. You're better off really, if you wanted a long hose, to buy the extension. It does come out of the top, so we just talked about what happens if you pull it too hard. You can make the machine fall back. On the top here is the bag full indicator, and that goes across to red when the bag needs to be changed or there's a blockage. Inside the top, you'd have to just click this fitting here, lift the top up, and inside would be your bag, right? And it's easy to remove. You just lift it simply out of the machine like that. And we can see it's not the biggest bag in the world, but with a bag machine you don't want to be having bags kicking around in the machine for a long time because it starts to smell. Most bag machines, they will smell eventually. Even bagless machines can smell, but it's worse if you've got pets. If you've got dogs in the house, that bag can really stink if you've had it in for a while, but I doubt you will do because it'll be full of pet hair. Obviously you can see that dust in there because I have been using this. Right down in the bottom of there we have the, come on camera, focus. That is the pre-motor filter, and that is simply removed by putting your hand down and pulling it out like so. You can get a different version of this, which I believe is called the carbon or charcoal activated one, which is for pets, and I think the pet machine comes with a charcoal. It is a charcoal filter, isn't it? That's what they call it, and there's charcoal in there. It's supposed to stop the bags from smelling, but from what I've heard it doesn't. So there you can see down in there, that's where your motor is. Just down in the corner there is the relief valve, and that sucks in air from the outside if there's any obstruction, and basically you'll hear a hissing noise coming from here. That's where it draws air in. If the bag gets full or there's an obstruction on the hose, it will suck air in through there, and you know, if it starts hissing there, there's a problem or a blockage. So we can push that back down inside the cleaner like so, and to put the bag back in, I'm going to, it always goes in that way round, and you'd lower it down into the machine, and what we would have to do is just to make sure it's seated. These little dots here, 1, 2 there, go into these slots. So you've got a slot there and a slot there, so we're going to slot those in like that, and then this side sits in like so, so that your little latch here is like so. Because it won't allow you to close the top door down without a bag in. So what I'm going to do as well, I'm going to raise the handle back up so that the door closes easier. To raise the handle, you've got a pull switch here, so you pull that switch out like so, and then I'm just raising the handle now because I can't focus the camera on it at the same time. So your handle will go right up. That's the highest setting there. I think I have it on a lower setting than that, so pull it back out again. I think that's the setting I normally have it on there. So it will go up and down depending on how tall you are. And inside there we can see the other side of the bag full indicator. Okay, so that's the top down. This on the outside, there's one of your cable hooks there, and that's the other cable hook. This here is what they call the exhaust filter. This material, it actually has 2 clamps, one there and one here, and those clamps, when you remove them, remove these bands, and then it allows you to pull the exhaust filter out from that gap there, and this whole cover comes off, and you're supposed to replace these every so often, and you can get new ones from SEBO on their website in different colours and patterns. They're about 30 quid I think these are to buy. Basically it's got another layer inside that absorbs all the carbon dust from the motor, and it diffuses the exhaust air through this massive big filter, so you're not getting whooshes of hot air. It does run quite warm, this machine. But there's the exhaust filter. So we're coming down the bottom now. I've already showed you how this this clip works, so you'd press that button in there and pull the top off to separate it. And then what we have is that's the pedal release on the back for reclining the machine. And this is what they call the SEBO Felix Premium's ET1 floor head. This floor head is what they fit also on the E3 Premium and the D4 Premium. And it also comes on the K3 Premium. So it's a well-used floor head, and it's, as I say, it is fitted to some of the canister machines. This button here is the button to turn the floor head on or off. So if you wanted to use it on hard floor and the machine was reclined, then you'd need to press that button to turn the floor head off. That light there is your guide light, basically, to say whether it's too high or too low. If you're running the machine across the carpet and the brush roll isn't getting in touch with the carpet, that will glow orange. So basically you'd need to lower that down to the next setting until that glowed green. Basically it's a height control, and it tells you whether you're using it too high or not. So if I put that on number 4, let's say, and then tried using it on the carpet, that light would come on straight away. And that would be there to tell me to lower it down. I believe that also glows red if there's a jam in the brush roll as well. Or it could be this one, I'm not sure. But one of these glows red if you get something stuck in the brush roll. So you'd need to, if you sucked a sock up and then you needed to remove it, it would shut the brush roll motor off and bring that light on. It would glow red, say there was an obstruction. So you'd clear your obstruction, turn the machine off, turn it on again, and that should clear. Looking underneath the machine, let's turn it round this way so it's in the light. We can see the brush roll here, which you can buy from SEBO as well for about £20 when it wears out. Good quality brush roll there. That's your pile adjustment wheel, which goes up and down according to how high you've got it on the top. This is a blockage port, which you can open there and get your fingers up to remove blockages, which is very useful. If I just recline it now, and we can have a look at the... There is the stock label there. So that basically says that it's 175 watts for the floor head. So that's quite a powerful floor head. It will take quite a lot for this thing to get bogged down. Now what you can do as well, to clean the brush roll, there's a button on the end. Where are we? Just here. How does that work again? Let me just have a look. I can't remember how this comes off now. There should be a little press button. Yes, there it is. So we've got, if I just put the camera down here and focus down, there's like a button here, and you press that in and it allows you to turn that round and remove the end cap like this. And then what we can do is pull the brush roll by twisting it slightly, and the entire of the brush roll will come out, so you can clean that very easily. Okay, now that exact same method has been used on the Dyson light ball. They've used the exact same method for cleaning the brush roll by removing the end cap, and you can pull the brush rail out on that as well. When I made a comment on that video about the light ball saying that you could remove the brush roll and it was like the Felix, well, this is what I mean. By removing the end cap there, okay, then you can pull your brush roll out, and we can simply slide that back in onto the engagement on the end there, which is the drive, and it's a tough belt on this, lifetime belt, so you never have to worry about changing belts on it because the motor protects itself if it gets obstructed. So we can put that on, and then I can put this back on as well at the same angle it was when it came off. Slide that back in and click it back down again, and that is the brush roll back in. So that's very, very simple, isn't it? Very simple indeed. Okay, let's get it plugged in then. Stand it upright. Right. And it was on, so we're just making sure that that's pushed down. That's lovely. Okay, so with these lights, what we do then, we can turn the machine on by turning the... There's always a slight delay, about 1 or 2 seconds, between turning it on and then the machine actually responding. That's the electronic control, I believe. So now, it does appear to be a hissing noise coming from the back of there. Oh, that's why. If you've got the bag trapped in the seal, you've got to make sure when you push the bag in, it isn't trapped inside the seal. Let's push it down again. There we go, there's no more hissing now. It was slightly hissing because the bag was trapped between the seals. So, if we recline the machine now, we can see that the green light has come on to say that it's in operation. Now I can turn that off by pressing that button. Like so. So now it can be used on hard floor. Now if I turn this on to number 4, so basically the machine is now too high, what we can see is that orange light has now come on. So I would need to lower it down. You can hear it engage and then the light goes off. So if it's too high, the light comes on. That's basically how that works there. And then we can turn it back off again. So it's a very, very aggressive brush roll in this. It cleans very, very well. I can demonstrate the agitation on this by putting a bit of rice down in the front. We'll do that now. So, if I put the camera down here, we should be able to see a little bit of agitation going on with this. It may be better off to put the camera the other side. I don't know how much of that you could see. Try again. Good, isn't it? That's pretty good agitation on that brush roll there. We'll just show you with the turbo tool on the end. So obviously you'd need a fair bit of suction on there so we can turn the power up now. Okay, so that's the turbo brush. Now to demonstrate what would happen if I remove the hose while we're vacuuming along, let's just get it in properly. So let's say turn this down a bit. So I'm going to be vacuuming now. I don't know how the best way to do this is. We'll hold the camera. Now if I remove the hose from the side, like that, you can see the floor head automatically goes off. Put it back in again and it comes back on. So it's impossible to have that going with no suction through it effectively. Put the hose back in and on it comes again. I can only apologise about some of my dreadful camera work, but it's very difficult to try and hold the camera in one hand and do all this one-handed. So what I'll do now, I'll put the camera back on the top and we'll see it being pushed around the room in action. Okie dokie, I think that's about right, isn't it?
So we can vary the suction as we're going along. If it's a bit difficult to push, we just turn the suction down a bit. And then if we want full suction again, now that's full power. Low suction. Full power. Take it in the kitchen onto the hard floor. And you can see the orange light come on saying it's too high. So what I need to do is to lower that down to number 2 maybe. There we go, and it's orange light start saying we're low enough down now. Now if you're going to go onto hard floor, we press that button. You just press it with your foot. And I've just realised now that I'm plugged into the middle socket in the living room, so unfortunately it won't stretch. I'll just quickly go and change the socket. It's got a long cable, but it's not that long unfortunately. It is only a 10 metre, so it won't go all the way down the bathroom from that socket, so I have to put it in down here. So now we can just go in here. And we can turn the power up if we need to. Unfortunately it won't do the mats. The mats just get pulled up, so I find that you can't really do these with any kind of vacuum cleaner, so I just have to shake them out. And then we can just finish off. If it's too much suction, like it was pulling the liner up to the floor head, and just reduce the suction. So it's a fantastic machine, this is for using on the hard floor. And there we go. And that familiar sound means I'm running out of time on this video, so we'll have to wrap it up here. But the SEBO Felix is a fantastic little machine, and the more I use it, the more I actually like using it. It really is so much more manoeuvrable than you might think with that swivel head design, and the power head there being separate motor means it's really versatile, so I'd recommend one of those to anyone. So until the next review, see you.